Okay, so prison of the mind. It does kind of sound like, a dramatic movie trailer. But we all have those times when, like, you feel stuck, trapped by negative thoughts, right? Fears and all those doubts. It's like we build these walls in our minds and they hold us back.
Yeah, it is fascinating how these mental patterns can kind of work beneath the surface without us even realizing it. They shape, our choices, our behaviors.
Yeah, totally. We're on autopilot, running the same old limiting programs. But the cool thing is we can break free. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. You shared this awesome guide, Unchaining the Mind, it's called. And I'm so ready to explore its practical tools for like dismantling those mental barriers.
You know what's really intriguing about this guide is that it uses the actual prison environment as a parallel. It uses the challenges that prisoners face as a metaphor for the mental prisons that we create for ourselves.
Oh, wow.
So by understanding how people adapt, even thrive in those incredibly restrictive circumstances, we can gain insights into building resilience, and a growth mindset in our own lives.
Now that is a unique perspective. I'm starting to see how those like seemingly unrelated situations can offer valuable lessons for personal growth. So let's just break down this whole prison mind concept. What does it even mean to be trapped in a mental prison?
At its core, the prison mind is a state where negativity dominates our thinking. We've constructed these mental walls, made up of fears and doubts, limiting beliefs, and that restricts our possibilities.
Those mental walls, I think we've all bumped into those at some point. I've definitely spent too much time in the procrastination prison, putting things off because I'm terrified of, failing or not being good enough.
Procrastination, classic symptom of the prison mind. But it can also manifest in other ways, like fear of public speaking, imposter syndrome, constantly comparing ourselves to others. All these patterns chip away at our self-worth and prevent us from going after our true potential.
It's like those negative thoughts become our jailers, constantly reminding us of like our limitations. So how does the guide use the actual prison environment to like help us break free?
The guide points out that individuals in prison, they often develop remarkable coping mechanisms and resilience just to survive. They have to find ways to maintain hope and a sense of self in an environment that's designed to strip those things away.
That's a powerful observation. It makes you realize that if they can cultivate mental strength in those conditions, we can certainly learn to break free from our own self-imposed limitations.
Precisely. The guide suggests that by studying those coping strategies of people who faced extreme adversity, we can gain practical tools for escaping our own mental prisons.
Okay, no prison breakouts required. But I am curious about those specific techniques the guide offers. What are these like mind unchaining tools that can help us break free?
The guide outlines 4 main techniques, each designed to shift your thinking patterns and cultivate a more empowered mindset.
All right, give us the rundown on these mind liberating techniques.
The first one is mindfulness meditation. Now, before you dismiss it as just another trendy wellness practice, hear me out.
Okay, I'm listening. I'll be honest. Meditation isn't the first thing that comes to mind when I think of escaping a prison. Seems a bit, well, peaceful for a jailbreak.
Mindfulness is incredibly powerful. It's not about, sitting in silence and chanting. It's about training your mind to be present, to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Imagine developing the mental strength to remain calm, even during a prison riot.
I see the connection now. So how does mindful awareness actually help us dismantle those mental walls?
When you practice mindfulness, you become more aware of those negative thought patterns as they come up. But instead of getting swept away by them, you learn to observe them with detachment. This weakens their grip on you, just like a prisoner who, maintains inner peace despite external restrictions.
So instead of being imprisoned by our negative thoughts, we become more like the warden of our own minds, choosing which thoughts to entertain and which ones to let go. I'm really liking this analogy.
Exactly. Mindfulness is about taking back control. And over time, this practice can truly help you detach from those ingrained limiting beliefs and create space for more, positive and empowering thoughts.
Okay, I'm sold on mindfulness. What's the next technique in our arsenal for escaping these mental prisons?
Technique number 2 is called cognitive restructuring.
Cognitive restructuring, huh? It sounds a bit technical. What are we restructuring?
Think of it this way. Your negative thoughts are like a worn-out script that you keep replaying in your head, and it reinforces those limiting beliefs. Cognitive restructuring is about rewriting that script with more positive and realistic dialogue.
Oh, I like that. So we're editing out the negativity and creating a new story for ourselves.
Precisely. It's about identifying those those distorted negative thought patterns, and consciously choosing to replace them with more, balanced and helpful ones. Instead of letting those negative thoughts run the show, we become the director of our own mental movies.
I see. So instead of thinking, I'm going to totally bomb this presentation, we'd rewrite it to something like, I've prepared well, and I'm going to do my best no matter what.
Exactly. You're shifting from a fear-based mindset to one that focuses on your effort and growth, regardless of external validation. It's a powerful technique for dismantling those self-imposed limitations.
Okay, I'm definitely seeing the potential of cognitive restructuring. What's the third technique in our mind unchaining toolkit?
The third technique is all about, it's about harnessing the power of visualization and affirmations.
Visualization. Now, that's something I can get excited about. I've heard about the power of visualization, but I'm curious to learn more.
It might sound a little, new age, but there's some really fascinating neuroscience behind it. When you vividly imagine yourself achieving something, your brain starts firing neurons in a way that's similar to if you were actually experiencing it.
Well, so you're saying that just by visualizing myself, succeeding in a tough situation, I can actually increase my chances of success in real life. That's incredible.
It's not magic, but it's close. Visualization helps reprogram your subconscious mind and create new neural pathways that support your goals.
That's amazing. Okay, so how do affirmations fit into this mental rewiring process?
Affirmations are those positive statements. You repeat them to yourself, almost like mantras, to reinforce desired beliefs. They work with visualization by planting those positive seeds, deep within your subconscious mind.
So if I'm struggling with, let's say, fear of public speaking, I might repeat an affirmation like, I am a confident and engaging speaker. And visualize myself giving an amazing presentation.
Exactly. By consistently repeating those affirmations and pairing them with, vivid visualizations, you start to chip away at those limiting beliefs and build a new mental framework, one that supports your growth and success. You're essentially rewiring your brain for confidence and resilience.
Okay, that's 3 powerful techniques down. What's the final tool in our arsenal for breaking free from the prison of the mind?
The fourth technique is one that's, I think, near and dear to a lot of people: journaling and self-reflection.
Ugh, journaling. Now, that's something I can relate to. I've been journaling for years. It's honestly helped me through some rough times and helped me uncover some hidden patterns that I wasn't even aware of.
It's such a powerful tool for self-discovery and growth. By putting your thoughts and feelings down on paper, you get a deeper understanding of your mental patterns, those unconscious beliefs that might be driving your behavior.
It's so true. There have been so many times when I've been journaling and a limiting belief pops up on the page and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right.
But once it's out in the open, you can examine it. You can decide if it's serving you or holding you back.
Exactly. Journaling is like a mirror, reflecting those unconscious beliefs back to us, so we can consciously choose whether to keep them or let them go.
And I think it's important to say that journaling isn't just about venting or complaining. It's about asking yourself tough questions, really digging deep to understand, the root of your thoughts and behaviors.
Right. It's about cultivating self-awareness, which is the foundation for any kind of, personal transformation. By understanding our thought patterns, we gain the power to change them. It's like becoming an expert in our own inner workings, which is essential for any successful prison break.
Okay, so we've got these 4 powerful techniques: mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, visualization, and journaling. But how do we actually start, using these techniques in our everyday lives? How do we make it tangible action?
That's where the guide gets even more practical. It outlines 10 specific steps you can take to break free. To break free from those mental prisons and create a life of greater freedom and fulfillment.
10 steps. Okay, we've got a lot to unpack. I'm ready to dive into those steps.
Let's do it.
So we've got these 4 incredible techniques, right? Mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, visualization and affirmations, and journaling for dismantling those mental prisons. Now, 10 steps, that sounds kind of overwhelming, but I'm sure you'll make it doable, right? Where do we begin?
Well, the first step is about self-awareness. It's recognize your limitations. It might seem obvious, but, it's easy to go through life totally unaware of the mental barriers holding us back.
Yeah, that's true. We just get used to those thought patterns and become background noise, right?
Yeah.
We don't even question them.
Yeah. So this step is all about taking a deep look at your thoughts, your beliefs, your behaviors, Asking those tough questions, like what's holding me back? What fears or doubts? What are the negative thought patterns that are preventing me from living, the life I want? It's like taking stock of your mental prison. Right.
Okay, so let's say I've done some soul searching, identified a few limiting beliefs. What's the next step?
Step 2 is called challenge those beliefs. Once you've identified those negative thought patterns, it's time to put on trial. Are they really based on facts? Or are they just those old stories that you've been telling yourself? And they might have been true at one point, but, they don't serve you anymore. It's like examining the blueprints of your mental prison,
Sure.
questioning the structural integrity. Are those walls really solid? Or could you break through them?
I love that. Challenging those beliefs, right? Like demanding evidence. We just accept them as truth
Right.
without even, questioning their validity. So we've recognized our limitations and challenged those beliefs. What's next?
Step 3 is all about shifting our perspective. It's called cultivate a growth mindset. This step is crucial because it moves us from, a fixed mindset where we believe our abilities are set in stone to a growth mindset where we embrace the idea that we can learn and grow through effort.
Ah, the growth mindset. I've heard so much about it, but I think a lot of people struggle to understand what it actually means, practically.
Yeah. So a growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence aren't fixed traits. It's the understanding that you can develop your skills and knowledge through, dedication, perseverance, and a willingness to embrace challenges.
So instead of saying, I'm just not a math person, someone with a growth mindset would say, I may find math challenging now, but I can learn and improve.
Exactly. It's about, embracing the journey of learning, seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth rather than, signs of failure.
So powerful. Okay, what's step 4 on our path to freedom?
Step 4 is about setting a clear course for our journey, right? It's called set clear and realistic goals. And this might sound basic, but it's essential for maintaining motivation and direction. Think of it as like charting a course on a map. Without a destination in mind, you're likely to, wander aimlessly.
So it's not just about setting any goals. It's got to be, align with our values.
But not achievable.
Exactly. I've been guilty of setting those overly ambitious goals in the past and getting discouraged and giving up.
Yeah. So by breaking those big, audacious goals down into smaller, more manageable steps, you create this sense of momentum and it fuels your motivation.
That makes so much sense. It's like creating a roadmap for success. Okay. So we've cultivated a growth mindset. We've set some clear goals. What's next?
Step 5 is all about, building that mental muscle to overcome challenges. It's called develop self-discipline and persistence.
Oh, self-discipline. I've definitely struggled with that. It's like that part of the brain that wants instant gratification.
Right. It's a challenge for a lot of us. But remember, breaking free from those mental prisons, it's not going to happen overnight. It requires consistency, effort, and a willingness to push through those moments when you just want to give up.
No, absolutely. It's like training for a mental marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just like training for a marathon, you need to develop a plan, build up your endurance, celebrate those small victories.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. What's step 6?
Step 6 is recognizing we don't have to do this alone. It's called seek support and surround yourself with positive influences.
Yes. This is so crucial. I wouldn't have been able to, get through some tough times without my friends and family.
Totally. Having a strong support system is essential. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, encourage you, and hold you accountable.
And I guess just as important is to be aware of those negative influences, those people who even unintentionally might be reinforcing those limiting beliefs.
That's right. Sometimes it's necessary to, create some distance from those relationships, or at least set some boundaries to protect your mental space.
All right. Making progress on our escape plan. On to step 7.
Step 7 is all about expanding our horizons, equipping ourselves with the knowledge and skills we need to thrive. It's called continuous learning and skill development.
Yeah, lifelong learning. I'm all about that. It's like we're constantly, adding new tools to our mental toolbox.
Exactly. The more you learn and grow, the more confident and empowered you become.
Okay. So we're learning, we're growing, we're building our support system. What's step 8 on our path to freedom?
Step 8 might sound a little counterintuitive, but it's crucial. It's called embrace failure and learn from your mistakes.
Wait, embrace failure. Isn't the whole point to avoid making mistakes?
That's what we're often taught. But failure is an inevitable part of growth. It's through our mistakes that we discover what works and what doesn't.
I see.
Think of it like those failed escape attempts in prison movies.
Right.
Each attempt, even if it fails, it gives you information. Information that can be used to improve the next plan.
So instead of seeing failure as a setback, we reframe it as, feedback, an opportunity to learn and improve.
Exactly. It's about adopting a more experimental approach to life,
Yeah.
knowing that not everything will work out perfectly. And that's okay.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value in embracing those failures. So what's step 9?
Step 9 is all about, nurturing our mental and emotional well-being. It's called practice self-compassion and self-care.
Self-care. I love that. But how does it relate to breaking free from the prison of the mind? It seems a bit indulgent,
It might seem that way, but even in the toughest environments, self-care is essential for maintaining resilience. Think about it. Even in a prison, those moments of self-care are what keep people going.
I see the connection. So it's like the small acts of kindness, like rebellion against negativity, right?
Exactly. Self-compassion and self-care are not luxuries. They're essential tools for our well-being, especially when facing challenges. So make sure you're prioritizing activities that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, whether that's taking a walk, listening to music, reading, or just taking some time to breathe. Those moments can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that self-compassion is a key part of self-care, treating ourselves with kindness like we would treat a friend.
Absolutely. We often hold ourselves to these, impossibly high standards. And when we fall short, we beat ourselves up. Self-compassion is about offering ourselves grace and understanding.
Okay. 9 steps down. What's the final step?
The final step is all about acknowledging how far we've come, right? It's called celebrate your progress and acknowledge your achievements.
Yes. Celebrating those wins, big and small, we get so caught up in what's next? We forget to appreciate what we've accomplished.
That's right. But taking the time to acknowledge your achievements can really boost your motivation. It reinforces those positive changes.
Absolutely. It's like we're giving ourselves a high five, hey, you did it.
Exactly. And those moments of celebration, even if they're small, create this positive feedback loop that keeps you moving forward.
So we've explored this concept of the prison mind. We've learned about these amazing techniques and 10 practical steps for applying those techniques. But I'm also wondering about, specific exercises to really make this knowledge stick.
That's a great question. And luckily, this guide, Unchaining Your Mind, has a bunch of practical exercises.
Perfect. I'd love to explore some of those exercises with you.
Yeah. There's one called Identifying Prison Mind Patterns. It's a great place to start. It's all about, bringing those unconscious beliefs, those limiting beliefs to the surface so you can start to challenge them and reframe them.
Okay, that sounds really useful. I think a lot of us have those hidden beliefs we don't even know about. How does this exercise help us, expose those?
It's a pretty simple exercise, but it's powerful. It's about taking some quiet time to reflect and asking yourself some key questions.
Okay.
Like, what are some recurring negative thoughts? What are those limitations that are holding you back? Where did these patterns even come from? Can you trace them back to specific experiences or, beliefs?
So it's like we're detectives of our own minds, searching for clues.
Exactly. And once you start to identify those patterns, you can begin to explore their roots, question their validity. Are they based on facts? Or are they just stories? Stories that might have been true at one point but don't serve you anymore.
Makes sense. It's like shining a light on the shadowy corners of our minds and saying hey, I see you, limiting beliefs. You don't control me.
Precisely. It's about reclaiming your power and choosing thoughts that empower you, right? Not limit you. You're the architect of your own mind.
I love that. So listeners, if you're ready to start breaking free, I encourage you to, pause the episode and spend a few minutes with this exercise, identifying prison mind patterns. See what you discover. What are those hidden bars?
And this is just one of many exercises from the guide, Unchaining Your Mind. It's full of practical tools and techniques.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this tape dive, let's just recap. We all have mental prisons, those limiting beliefs, those negative thought patterns that hold us back. But the good news is we have the power to break free.
We've explored these 4 powerful techniques: mindfulness, cognitive restructuring, visualization and affirmations, and journaling. We've learned about 10 steps to, actually apply these techniques. It's a journey, dismantling old beliefs, building a new mindset.
And it's not about being perfectly positive. We all have negative thoughts. That's just like being human.
Yeah.
This is about managing those thoughts, building resilience, creating a life that, reflects our values.
Right. It's about recognizing that we have more power than we think. We have the power to choose our thoughts. And when we do that, we choose our reality.
That's such a powerful message. Before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought. If our negative thoughts can create mental prisons, what if we designed a mental paradise using these techniques?
Yeah, what if? What possibilities might open up if we focused on thoughts and beliefs that empower us, that uplift us, and inspire us?
That's something to think about, listeners. I encourage you to, check out Unchaining Your Mind. Keep exploring all these techniques and exercises. Who knows what transformations are waiting?
Until next time, keep diving deep. Keep unchaining your minds. We'll see you on the other side of those walls.